This is not a drill. Right now, as you're watching this, severe thunderstorms are already firing across parts of the South, and the worst of today is still hours away. We've got a dangerous, multi-day, severe weather sequence unfolding across a massive chunk of the country, from the southern plains all the way to the mid-Atlantic. Today alone, over 50 million people are in the crosshairs of a significant severe weather threat. And tomorrow, a completely separate hazard will develop along the East Coast, bringing a rare tornado risk to places like Richmond and Washington, D.C. So let's get right into the forecast, because you need to know what's coming and when. Here's the big picture. The Storm Prediction Center has issued an enhanced risk. That's a level 3 out of 5, stretching from the Dallas-Fort Worth area through Shreveport, Little Rock, and Jackson, Mississippi. All three hazards are on the table inside that zone, damaging winds, very large hail, and tornadoes. But this threat doesn't stop at the enhanced boundary. A broad slight risk wraps around it through Nashville, Birmingham, and Springfield, Missouri. A marginal threat extends even further, brushing eastern Kentucky back towards San Antonio. The primary headline hazard today is damaging wind. Gusts ranging from 60 to 80 mph are possible this afternoon and evening, with the SPC flagging a significant wind intensity signal, meaning gusts exceeding 75 mph are realistically on the table inside the enhanced zone. Dallas-Fort Worth, Shreveport, Jackson, and Little Rock. Think about outdoor furniture, trampolines, anything that can turn into a projectile. But the hazard that genuinely concerns me most for life and property is hail. And near DFW and Shreveport, it could be extreme. So why is this happening? This setup is driven by a series of mid-level energy impulses sweeping across the central U.S., interacting with a deeply unstable warm sector at the surface. Surface temperatures are going to reach 90 degrees Fahrenheit in some spots this afternoon, combining with surface dew points in the lower 70s. ML Cape values, the atmosphere's available instability energy, could reach 2,500 to 4,000 joules per kilogram in the prime threat area. That is an explosively unstable environment. Pair that with 50-plus knots of effective bulk shear, and you have all the ingredients for organized, dangerous supercells. The mid-level lapse rates running at 8 to 9 degrees Celsius per kilometer. That's what allows hailstones to grow to extreme sizes before falling to the ground. When you see numbers like these, you take the event seriously. This is not a run-of-the-mill spring afternoon. Now let's break this down day by day. Today, Tuesday, is clearly the most dangerous day of this sequence. The enhanced risk zone, covering Dallas-Fort Worth, Shreveport, Little Rock, and Jackson, faces all three primary severe hazards at significant levels. But hail is the standout threat. We're not talking about golf ball size hail. Supercells this afternoon could produce hailstones exceeding 3.5 inches in diameter near DFW and Shreveport. Softball plus-sized hail is a legitimate possibility. If you live in or near Denton, Fort Worth, or Plano, over 5 million people in that metro, you need to protect your vehicle today. Covered parking, a garage, anything with a roof over it. Softball-sized hail destroys windshields and dents hoods in seconds, and it arrives with almost no warning beyond what your radar app can give you. Get the vehicle covered before 2 p.m. if you can. There's also a tornado threat, and while it's not the primary focus today, it is real. A 5% tornado probability zone covers Memphis through Dallas and Shreveport and Little Rock. All of Arkansas needs to be watching this afternoon and evening. An isolated tornado risk extends toward Birmingham, Lexington, and Louisville, too. I would not be surprised to see the tornado probability increase, especially near the Red River Valley, as the afternoon environment comes into focus. Today is primarily a daytime threat, with most storms weakening between 11 p.m. and midnight. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the threat shifts east. A marginal risk continues across the southern tier, Texas through Alabama, mainly for damaging winds and isolated hail. But the more interesting story tomorrow is the mid-Atlantic, where a marginal risk threat develops for parts of Virginia and the Carolinas. This is an underappreciated setup. Richmond and Washington, D.C. carry the highest concern for a spin-up tornado or two. If you're in those areas Wednesday, don't assume it's just a rainy afternoon. The main threat window will be from roughly 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Beyond Wednesday, storm chances return Thursday and Friday, mainly along the Gulf Coast and into Texas and Louisiana. Then, we get a genuine break. Sunday and Monday look significantly calmer for most of the country, but there are signals for another round of severe weather potential in the Midwest by the middle of next week. May is right around the corner. Stay sharp. Let's talk timing in detail because the sequence of today's storms really matters. This morning, as early as 10 a.m., a cluster of storms is already developing along the Red River Valley and moving toward the Oklahoma City area. These early storms are a wild card. If they stay disorganized, they could scrub out some instability in Arkansas by afternoon, limiting the tornado threat in that state. But they could also produce their own round of damaging winds and large hail before the main act begins. Don't let your guard down in the morning just because the biggest risks are labeled for the afternoon. Just after noon is when things get more serious. A large cluster of storms will be organizing through Arkansas, producing 60 to 80 mph wind gusts and potentially an embedded tornado or two, with some large hail possible in northern Arkansas. By 1 to 2 p.m., discrete supercells are expected to start firing in the Red River Valley corridor, the zone from Wichita Falls through northern Louisiana. That's where the tornado environment will be most favorable. By 3 to 4 p.m. is when I think the threat ramps up sharply and becomes the most dangerous part of the day. Multiple supercells will be organizing around Dallas-Fort Worth, and those are the storms carrying the most serious hail and tornado potential. The DFW Metroplex, Denton, Fort Worth, Plano, and surrounding communities will likely have several supercells right over the metro area between 4 and 6 p.m. That is peak danger time for this region. By 6 to 7 p.m. A more intense line of storms pushes through Mississippi, generating a broader wind threat, while supercells remain active from Dallas-Fort Worth into northern Louisiana with continued tornado and giant hail possibilities. By 9 to 10 p.m., remaining activity pushes toward the Texas-Louisiana border and weakening becomes more pronounced. Most severe weather should be below threshold by midnight. For the East Coast on Wednesday, the threat ramps up during mid to late afternoon, around 2 to 3 p.m., with the most active window between 4 and 7 p.m. before clearing by 9 p.m. Two things are really defining the character of this event and worth understanding. First, the hail environment. The reason softball-sized hail is credible near Dallas-Fort Worth and Shreveport is those steep mid-level lapse rates. When the upper portions of storm towers are bitterly cold, hailstones get lofted and spend more time cycling through the hail growth zone, roughly between -10 and -30 degrees Celsius. Any supercell that can exploit that environment has real potential for stones well over 3 inches. Second, the storm mode distinction. The large cluster of storms over Arkansas today is primarily going to be a wind threat. As it becomes more linear, it favors a derecho-type setup rather than organized tornadoes. The supercells near Dallas-Fort Worth and the Red River Valley are the primary tornado and giant hail concern. Those are two very different kinds of threats unfolding simultaneously today, and knowing which one applies to your area matters for how you prepare. One more impact worth noting: isolated flash flooding is possible today, particularly in the Arc-Latex region where storms could repeat over the same areas. Rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour are possible under the heaviest cells, and with soil already saturated in parts of the region, that means rapid water rises are possible along low-lying roads and creek corridors. Do not drive through flooded roadways. Here's your takeaway. Take today seriously. If you're in Dallas-Fort Worth, Shreveport, Little Rock, or Jackson, know where your shelter is. Have your weather alerts turned on and protect your vehicle before those supercells arrive this afternoon. If you're in Richmond, D.C., or anywhere in the mid-Atlantic, Wednesday afternoon and evening is your watch window. That threat is real, even if it doesn't look dramatic on paper. We'll have live coverage going this afternoon as storms develop across the southern plains. Make sure you're subscribed and have the bell notification on so you don't miss it. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video.